You received a document written by A himself? Perhaps you're being recognized now. A is on a rather long journey currently. As all journeys have to end, final destination will be his home. This place. Have you ever taken a trip somewhere? In fact, they say preparing for a trip is a rare luxury nowadays. Day still lays cold, but we know that the winter frost is almost over. However, the end of winter does not necessarily mean that spring is coming. Elijah? Oh, hello, sir. Sorry, I'm quite busy. Still haven't finished even half of what I've written down in my notebook. Hey, I heard extraction experiments are going to be conducted. When I look over the list of participants, I cannot find my name on it. I mean, there's probably a ton of reasons behind it. Maybe I'm just not good enough for the experiment yet. But may I join the experiment too? I've learned a lot here. I'm sure I can help you in some way. I'll be sure to not disappoint. Hello, manager. It's sad to not have enough talent, isn't it? If someone doesn't look back towards you, what does that mean? That they don't acknowledge you? That they don't even care what expression you may be making? That they feel no need to see what you're doing, as they're already come to a conclusion? Have you ever clawed and scraped at the floor, writhing in pain? It really does sound excruciating, but in reality, that moment I completely lost my fingernails. I felt nothing. You stare at the flesh where your fingernails used to be, and just before you lost consciousness, when you feel that you aren't yourself anymore, you start to laugh frantically, even though it's not funny at all. And on the ground, you catch a glimpse of someone's shadow and their feet as they look down on you. Guess whose feet those were? When the person who disliked looking back so much finally turned around, everything was over. Do you see the fragments of despair from there? Or are you staring at the bits of my fingernails scattered on the floor? What was the exact moment I knew true helplessness? That was the exact moment I knew true helplessness. Without you, I'd never have known the feeling. Thank you so much. Now, what about you, manager? Have you ever felt helpless to control anything? When unbearable things pour down from everywhere that isn't your body and overwhelm you, it just feels so awful to be helpless, being out of control yourself. Come on, please tell me, so I can feel rewarded, just a bit. Elijah was impatient, and her impatience caused many common mistakes. She once went on a long, unwinded filibuster as to why she needed to finish the experiment, but I don't remember the details. Whenever she was told she wasn't ready yet, I could see the strong desire in her eyes. It was a craving, bizarre obsession. And yet if another person had been in my place, they would have turned around for the sound of her hasty footsteps. Cogito was something that she couldn't access at her level of authority. The only task she was ordered to do was record the changes that occurred in the test subjects. She was aware at the moment Cogito was absolutely not ready for human use. When I finally realized that was going on, half her teeth had fallen out, and... Kill me. Please. Kill me. Manifestation of Sapphire breakdown, suppression of Sapphire's core required. Are you discovering the deep scars that are inflicted upon this place? Manager, there's something you had informed you when you spoke for the first time. Sapphire, of course, wholeheartedly want to meet you. They admire you and follow you. However, at the same time, they earnestly yearn for you to be swallowed up in resentment and curses. Please be careful with them. Well, you don't have to pay that fact much heed if you wish. What I mean is, say you are free to go back to your daily routine. It's no big deal to me to fill their roles if some of our Sapphire go mad. Though if you do, then you will lose something important forever, the seed that will break the cycle. Yasad, do you really feel nothing about this? Trudging some and Kefalin. Close your eyes and open them again. I'm glad to see that you're not as feeble-minded as other Sephiroth. It is important to keep your clear-minded in this situation. Gabriel, why are you scratching yourself so much? Seeing as we're meeting in, you must have completed your task, manager. I'd give you a compliment if you didn't have so much work to do. The information team has a task they must do periodically. You must have realized that there are some tasks or some blanks in the abnormality records. Among the tremendous amount of information we gather, there are some that should be remained off limits to employees for security reasons. The names of the employees are one such thing. Any trace to them, what happened, their gruesome death, their desperate will to live, all of them has to be stripped from the records for the false pretense of expunging information. There's no way we could know what criteria for stripping the records are. They are set by another department, not us. We only manipulate the information we receive per orders. Isn't it funny? You've degenerated into a department that destroys and manipulates information as ordered, yet somehow we're still called the information team. Whenever I introduce myself as Sephiroth of the information team, I sometimes feel something bubbling up inside me. Did you receive the documents to expunge? You'll get the list of employees soon as well. Please do not forget to review it after you've finished expunging the documents. Miss Angela, what do you think it means to remember someone's name? This is work you regularly do. Why are you so emotional about it today? Maybe names remarks atypical things being gave each other, to grave each other upon their memories. Someone might have named you Angela following the same concept. Yasad, if you happen to be tired, please take a break. I knew you would say that. Referring to employees by name is not recommended here. When employees first encounter the company, each one receives their own unique identification number. This is to allow the company to identify them using a minimum amount of personal information. We have their numbers in our data storage devices. McCullough has never called the employees by their names ever since she started working here. Maybe she is the most ideal Sephiroth amongst all us Sephiroth. This is not to say McCullough deserves to take all the pain as well. None of us do. What kind of poor taste is that, to lock us inside metal bodies and throw us into endless loop of days that feel just the same as yesterday? Oh. What was that? I'm talking to you. What's that oblivious expression? I heard you might be one of the architects responsible for our creation. The only thing I could do here is remember the names of a few forgotten employees and eternally spare. Feeling nauseous from even a single breath of air. Have you had fun watching your guinea pigs run around in circles? See, I told you, I've been rotting from the inside for a long time. Gabriel is more irrational than anyone else. He was unmoved, even after hearing about what happened to Elijah. Some said he lacked empathy, but nobody realized that his emotions were festering on the inside. Maybe he began falling apart a long time ago, ever since Cameron left this world. He slowly became emotionless. He wouldn't allow himself to even have a paltry joy. He also couldn't stand having even the smallest part of his body exposed. We made a monster that was not supposed to exist in the world. We went too far to even turn back. 1 second. Yeah, okay. Oh. Okay, it's interesting. To not let what Elijah did be in vain. Instead of taking time to grieve, everyone knew what he needed to utilize the result to the fullest. Tried to maintain a facade of level-headedness, but his attempts to remain rational slowly morphed into an obsession. He started to wear long-sleeve clothing that covered his neck. Not much longer, he started to scratch himself harshly. He suggested he receive a complete medical examination to see whether he was contaminated or had an infection, but he refused. All the checkups were needed to prevent further damage. Persuasion became coercion, and coercion led to the use of physical force. He was tied and bound for the checkup, but he resisted so desperately that it was hard for us to watch him. Eventually, it turned out that he wasn't infected at all. Was that really fortunate though? No, it wasn't. The examination did not resolve anything. He kept scratching himself, so harshly, even worse than before. When I saw him last, he wasn't lucid or cognizant to any human speech, and his body was completely covered in scratches. Not one person has seen him since then. Don't worry, Hod. That's a very common side effect when you first take epinephrine. It's just like a light hallucination. It'll disappear after 2 or 3 times, so don't worry about it too much. For me, it was an employee whose face had been half melted, crawling over the feet and grabbing me by the shoulders, asking me why I let her die. That wasn't a hallucination or anything. Then what? Are you trying to say the dead employees are suddenly coming back to life? You know, like unbelievable things happening here. So maybe it's possible for dead employees to come back or nothing happened, right? It's not in any state to say this. I'm not in any state to say this, but you don't look too good. Why didn't you skip today's meeting? I can't do that. I have an abnormality response training today. They need me to run the drill properly. You're really something, huh? I don't think there's another Sephiria here who cares about their employees as much as you do. Right. Look, Tiffany, I was right. I'm a good person. I'm a good Sephiria. Hello, everyone. Today we will... Are you still trying to play the good Sephiria? Be focusing on abnormal response training? How many times do I have to tell you? You're only a sad piece of rusty scrap metal putting in the act of being a good person. Now, I want everyone to pay close attention here. The abnormality we're expressing today needs to be handled a bit differently than the others. If you hope living such a lie would ease your subconscious, that's really selfish. Starting now, I will be explaining the method devised. Please listen carefully. At least the other Sephiroth are humble enough to admit they're not perfect. Quiet! Oh, sorry. Where are we? Excuse me, Assad? I have a question. What is it? Do you think this training will make any difference? I mean, against the long bird, it feels like whoever will die or live is predetermined. There's nothing we can do to change it. Well, it should yield a better result than just doing nothing. At the very least, we can prepare prevention measures rather than just wait helplessly to... It's all about luck. We'd be better off and more comfortable to simply accept that we can die any moment while working. Just know this. You won't reach the paradise no matter what you do. I'm doing this all for you guys, even the counseling campaign. Now that you mention it, that compulsory counseling campaign is such a pain. If I have a break time instead, why is our department the only one who has to deal with these programs? It'll keep repeating itself, living with eternal sorrow and remorse in that metal mass. Well, all of you would be dead right now if I hadn't helped you. Why aren't you thanking me? You want me to get rid of you like McCult does before you even make the slightest complaint? Don't say I'm the bad one here. You're finally admitting to your awful nature. Tiffany, why are you doing this to me? I'm not Tiffany. Look at me. You even distinguish your own voice anymore? Yes. Are you still having a sweet nightmare? When I read the article detailing Michelle's suicide, it was just our experiment was starting to show some progress. Michelle was the youngest among us. She was timid and innocent employee. It made her an easy target. Maybe it was our fate to be used as a pawn of the wings that were alert to us, or the head that would watch over us constantly. You likely don't know things would go the way they did. You'd never have thought that a puny kid like you would bring about our demise. You never have believed that the situation would end up so much worse than your intentions. Probably tried to comfort yourself in the end, telling yourself that you did the best you could. That in this world, in that moment, it wasn't any of the other option to you. That Carmen was the person who was trying to change the world you resigned yourself to. We meet again in hell. Will I finally be able to forgive you? Okay. So I got that done.